I would think with a film like Gypsy Tapes or with a film like Paranormal Activity, pre-planning would be a key component. But with a film like Pop Skull, what kind of pre-planning do you do for some of the days and some of the situations that you shot?
Well, we purposely didn't pre-plan specific scenes and so forth because, like I said, it was always about trying to find the real atmosphere within the locations, and so we knew that there would, for instance, be like a scary scene in this basement, and it wasn't until we got to that basement, really got hunkered in for a week, down there, and like me and Evan and Lane would all get together, and we would all figure out what would be the creepiest thing we can do for this scene, and it would all come very naturally through the locations and stuff, and that's pretty much how the whole shoot went. It was like it was making the use of the nature around you, and that's one thing that I think is really crucial for like an independent film, especially like a no-budget film, is you can't even plan too much, like you can't, because like if you have a bazillion dollars, you can storyboard everything and shoot it exactly, the way the storyboards look, but when you don't have any money, you could force things all day and it's just going to end up looking cheap and stupid, and the whole idea is to, really capture that freshness, that realism, while at the same time, giving it that kind of entertainment spin to it.
Well, Chris, Eric, I'm sure you guys aren't going to have the same schedule on your next film that you did on the first one. So in a lot of ways, you're going to be relearning the skill set this second time out. How are you guys preparing for the next thing you're doing?
Basically, we've fallen back on a lot of sort of old, old feelings and old principles and old sort of, it's like a lot of stuff that we learned back then during those 7 years. I mean, Eric went to film school, of course, has made other films. I've worked in the entertainment business for, a while, enough to know, the process. So it's, it's shaken off the rust for sure. So it's been, getting the gears sort of cranked up. But a lot of the stuff, you just start putting one foot in front of the other, really. And we've hired a concept artist, and we start, storyboarding some scenes out. The script is locked. It's, we're building a package together. We projected a budget. We started approaching talent. Packages have been out to well, it hasn't been to, we're presenting it to studios and production companies, but we'd be willing to go the independent route for sure. That's how Eric and I work kind of best. But no, certainly not. It's a project that we're kind of shopping around. But so we're putting it together for ourselves, and literally we're just we're building relationships with our local film commission offices and preparing to kind of like just do it ourselves, the best we can.
I gotta say, I'm really encouraged by the fact that so many states have passed some tax incentives, and so much of the production is going back to the U.S. now. Albuquerque or Louisiana or Michigan. It's just nice to actually see people making films in the U.S. again and see crews getting better because they got work in these areas again. I think it's good for everybody in the business.
Absolutely, and as much traveling as we do, we've noticed that sort of legislation kind of popping up all over the place, and states becoming a lot more filmmaker friendly. Certainly our home state of Mississippi has just passed new legislation, and the resources that we have access to down there, and locations and everything that we kind of plan to tap into is going to allow us to save a lot of money, when this thing starts to roll, So, literally it's just kind of shaking off the rust and putting one foot in front of the other.
All right, we got to wrap up in just a moment, but before we go, one piece of advice that each of you have for independent filmmakers as they start to move forward on their projects. Just if there's one thing that you can...
Top 5 favorite movies.
I mean, what's the most important thing?
I think he brought up something that's really important, and we haven't really talked about, is that, I think it's really important to use where you're from, or your community, or your world around you, whether it be any of these places you're talking about. For us, without Atlanta, our movie would have never happened.
Right.
And it was knowing that whole world around there. And then as a result of our movie and a few other ones, they passed a 30% tax incentive. So now if you get a studio movie, if you get a job doing that, you can shoot in Atlanta, and that'll be something that the studio would want to do. So I think that just use your environment and your community and the people around you. And that's going to be your biggest and greatest asset to make something on a low budget.
Excellent point.
Probably,
the thing that I'm facing now is don't ever take no for an answer. Just ask for stuff. Put yourself out there. Literally make phone calls, send letters. Try to, get as many resources as you can, and just ask for stuff. You'd be surprised at what you can get if you really just put yourself out there and ask and ask and ask and stalk people and never give up. Don't ever take no for an answer, and stick to your vision and be true to yourself.
Related point, the importance of finishing. Certainly for us, in the course of the 7 years, there was plenty of times in which self-doubt would creep in, and doubt from outside as well. Had we listened to the naysayers or the nagging dread of, oh my God, it's been 5 years, are we ever going to finish this thing? Of course, had we listened to those voices, it'd just be a box of videotapes in somebody's basement, and we wouldn't be sitting here, and we wouldn't have met Boyhood Idol, they wouldn't be making a movie about us, we wouldn't have visited Skywalker Ranch and touched the original Ark of the Covenant prop. Finishing has real benefits, as it turns out, and the same traits that we learned as a team, as kids, carry over, surprisingly, as adults. So, in short, finish.
I think the main thing that I would say, especially if you're going to do something that's ridiculously low budget, you gotta have a cast that's ready to take it all the way. And in our case, no one was getting paid, and so that the problem you usually run into is that people just won't show up, And so what we did to get around that is we structured the whole film so that pretty much in every scene it's all based around one guy, and that everybody else that had to be in the film were only in certain scenes here and there. And so really everybody needs a Lane Hughes who doesn't have a job like you and is ready to really. You gotta just get in this thing. You can't, because we could have quit this movie a lot earlier. We could have said, okay, we've been shooting for 3 months. Let's just call it. Let's just wrap it up, and we'll just edit together what we got. But we knew that we didn't have the right film there yet, and it wasn't until further probing and shooting and editing and then shooting some more that we were able to find the correct film within the film, and that all comes from having an actor who is ready to go all the way with it.
All right.
I'll agree that casting is absolutely crucial, but I would say above all, just whatever happens, whatever obstacles happen, just keep plowing ahead. Like, don't give up. Everything will go wrong, and if you let anything bring it down, then you're just going to give up. So don't give up, improvise, and just don't keep your eye off the ball.
Okay.
To be brief, I would just say surround yourself with talented people. Most talented people you can find, because it is a collaborative art form. And the more talent you have around you, the better your film's going to be.
Be able to very, very quickly explain what your film is about so that you can tell everyone from the cop to the hardware store owner.
I'd say test your movie. Get 20 of the meanest people you know in a room and show them your movie, and really listen to what they have to say. Give them a form so they can write it down, not even say it to your face, and then read it and really process what you have, and keep tweaking, keep working on it until it's right.
I would say when you're done with your film, you must adopt the mentality that there's no amount of rejection that can stop me. Similar to what Oren said, we got shot down at maybe about 40 festivals before we got our first film, The Dries Film, into Slamdance, and Poughkeepsie Tapes and Tribeca was not our first attempt at the festivals either. So you have to be willing to get shot down quite a bit.
I would just say choose something that you're incredibly passionate about, because you're going to be married to it for years, and it's, especially on the independent front, you're going to be pushing a boulder up the hill the entire way. So just choose something that you love enough to fight the fight for.
Well, I know there are a lot of filmmakers here this weekend, and big films, small films, but these guys are the guys that inspire me. So let's have a round of applause. Thank you guys for coming.